guys, welcome to Painted Creek Farm. My name is Amber. Today we're going to talk about chickens. Now I know there's a lot of craziness in the world right now. Everyone's either looking at chickens or trying to find a friend with chickens or researching, and everyone just wants to know what's up. So today I'd kind of just like to do a general overview, kind of graze over everything about them. And then later on, I do plan on doing some sort of series, going a little bit more in depth, on housing, on egg laying, on changes in feed, anything that you can think of, going a little bit more in depth on those sorts of things. Especially, I have a round of eggs in the incubator right now, so I do plan on doing an incubation series from setting them in all the way up until hatch and what they need throughout those times. So grab a notebook, grab a snack, get something to take some notes with. We're probably going to be here for a minute. When I get started talking chickens, as my friends know, I kind of don't stop. So let's talk first things first. You want to get chickens and you need somewhere to put them. So if you look behind me, you'll see this is our chicken coop. We have a 10 by 10 coop section over here with an attached 10 by 16 run. Chickens need about 10 square feet of run space per chicken and at least 1 square foot of roost space in their coop. We have more than enough coop space. We actually have it broken down into chicken space and then feed storage. It's worked really nice for us. Yes, it's large, but chicken math is real. You will get more chickens than you think that you need and that you ever think that you're going to have. Sorry, our yard chicken, Miss Kitty, is helping herself to some of my carrot tops right now. So you've decided that you have enough space, you want to go into it, you want to go for it, and you want to get your own chickens. First things first, you need to decide what kind. This may not be super important to some people. They just want something that lays eggs. There are some people, who are really determined to breed and continue on with heritage lines. Either is totally fine. We right now actually have barnyard mixed chickens. They're wonderful. I actually hatched them out from eggs I got from a friend, and they're fabulous. I can't say enough good things about them. They're beautiful. They're all different. All their babies end up being different. But I do see us in the future switching to a heritage breed, something that we could use for dual purpose for both eggs and for meat. I don't see us ever doing quote unquote meat chickens, like your broiler types, just because it's not sustainable. You have to rely on those hatcheries in order to buy your chicks every year. And that's just not something that I'm really into. Those breeds, they just don't live long enough to be able to reproduce. They get massively heavy very quickly. They don't lay, some people say they will. They're not going to reproduce. I would rather get something like a New Hampshire Red or, even an Orpington or an Australorp, and just keep those lines and have something that will both lay eggs for us continuously and that we, at a later date can process and feed our family. So that's kind of the first thing. Decide what you want. Decide what your goal is. If you do want to, further down the road process those chickens, then you might think about carrying on, a dual purpose heritage type bird. If that's not something that you're interested in and you just want some fun chickens to have eggs, get you some cheap barnyard mixes. They're fabulous. Ours lay wonderfully for us. Next thing I'd like to talk about is feed. We feed Nutrina all flock. Now, people out there will tell you, you have to have layer feed. And this is where I have a super controversial belief. I don't think you do. Your standard backyard hen does not need all that excess calcium. It is so hard on their systems. Don't do it to them. Our eggs are the best shells. Our hens have laid the most eggs out of chickens I've ever had. And I've always, up until I had these guys and did some research, I've always fed layer feed. But our hens are healthy. Our hens are laying like crazy all throughout the year. Of course, they stopped, when the days got shorter, they stopped for a while. When they molted, when they lost all their feathers and regrew their new feathers, they stopped for a while. But besides that, our eggs are the best eggs we have ever had. So we feed Neutrina all flock. I don't even supplement with oyster shell. We actually add in scratch grains just to make it go further. But if you look at our run where we feed our chickens, you'll see they kick out the scratch grains. They want those pellets. They love them. They eat them. Yes, it's a little expensive, but it's worth it in the long run. I actually got into feeding all flock because we do have a rooster. Now, you don't need a rooster to lay eggs. I just have him because I loved him. He was my favorite chick. He's a total butt now, but that's okay. So I actually looked into all flock for that reason, and then in doing research for that, I found so much information about them needing that higher protein. The all flock is an 18% feed, and it's done wonders for our egg quality and shell quality and the quality of our chicken. Sorry, I brought a notebook because, well, I'm new to this and I know I'll get off topic and forget something and leave it out. Something to consider when building your chicken house. Everything wants to eat your chickens. Foxes, coyotes, mink, weasels, snakes, rats even will chew on your chickens' legs and their combs. Possums, people will tell you that they don't want to eat your chickens. I promise you, they will eat your chickens. They will eat the babies. They will eat the adults, whatever they can get their little measly hands on. They're great. They're adorable. I love them, but they will eat your birds. So you want to make sure that you have security. We have these river rocks all around the bottom, both inside and outside of our chicken run. They kind of help prevent anything from digging in here. We actually are in a fenced in area right here, so I don't worry so much on this side. It's kind of the back side that's facing the woods that I do worry about. And then also we have hardware cloth that's on here. It's stapled in. Now, best practice would probably be to use screws and washers for that, just so that whatever is pushing against the hardware cloth can't just pop those staples. But ours is up high enough that I'm not too terribly worried about it. We've had this chicken coop for 3 years now. We've never, ever had anything get in. We have sand in our run. It is fabulous. I cannot recommend it enough. Now, if you put sand in your run, you need to make sure that you use masonry or construction sand. Do not go to Lowe's and get play sand. Inside of our coop, we actually have 8 nest boxes. They use 1. And I say 1, sometimes 2, and we have approximately 15 hens. Now, I am glad that we have more than they typically use, because when they go broody, they will take up a box and the other chickens will still want to lay. Broody is where your hen decides that she's going to sit on her clutch of eggs and she's going to make some babies for you. They will sit anywhere from, 20 days if they have good eggs, or if, they don't hatch, if you don't have a rooster and those eggs aren't fertilized, they will continue sitting and you may have to end up actually breaking them at that. I'll go more into depth in a series later. But with the 8 boxes, we have hens go broody all the time. I think last year or the year before, we actually had, 5 hens broody and hatch clutches at the same time. So I was super thankful for those extra 3 boxes when that happened. Sorry, the UPS man came. Back to chickens. Now let's get off the topic of the chickens themselves, and let's go to what most people are after, is the eggs. If you see a big one back there, that's actually Quali. She's our peahen. We got her from my son's daycare. She was kind of harassing the neighborhood, and so animal control couldn't catch her, so we actually went and picked her up. And she lives with our chickens. She's great. She doesn't lay like a chicken does. She only lays maybe 10 or so eggs a year. So not like a chicken, but I digress. So eggs. Our eggs are awesome. I know a lot of people are weirded out by farm fresh eggs, and that's okay. If you want to get your eggs from the store, it's totally fine. I prefer to have them right here. It's so nice to come out in the mornings if I need some, and just come out here and grab some eggs and go and make breakfast. They're fresher. They're more nutrient dense because they're not as old and our hens are fed better. Now we don't wash our eggs. We actually ensure that the eggs are clean through making sure that our living environment for our chickens are clean. Clean feet equal clean eggs. A lot of people will tell you, oh, they're pooping on the eggs. That's not the case. 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 times out of 10, your eggs will be clean as long as their environment is clean, as long as their feet are clean, which is why I'm such a huge advocate for having sand in their run. The sand, it's non-organic. It's not going to break down. It's not going to get muddy. It's not going to get soupy. It's going to take their poop and it's going to cover it up and then allow that poop to kind of work its way down into the sand. Our chickens all have super clean feet. They go into the coop. The coop is bedded. I actually have linoleum on the floor covered in pine shavings. And I just kind of turn that. I don't even really have to take that out and clean it out very often because we have a poop box underneath of our roost. So the way our coop is set up, and I'll take a video, but the way our coop is set up, we have a roost bar for them to roost on. Now for that, you want to make sure that you have something that is either really wide, which is what we have. We have an old log, is really wide, or something that is nice and flat, because chickens actually don't roost like this, like a parrot or something. They like to roost with their feet mostly flat, so that in the winter, they can use their bodies and cover their feet up. They can use their feathers to cover their feet, and it helps prevent frostbite. So like if you were to say, I know a lot of people use 2x4s. If you use a 2x4, make sure that you have it on the 4-inch side like this and not like this, because one, that's going to help encourage bumblefoot, which is like a little pustule on the bottom of your chicken's foot. And two, it's going to help encourage frostbite on those toes, and that's just not what you want to happen. But we have a roost bar, and then we have a poop box underneath of our roost bar, and that just helps keep the coop really, really clean. It takes me literally 5 minutes to clean my coop. I kid you not. It's so easy. I've tried a couple of different things in there. I've tried pine shavings. I've tried those pine pellets that you can get at Tractor Supply. And I would like to eventually try sand, but right now the pine shavings just work the best for me. The pine pellets were fine, but I would kind of need to go in there almost every day to really make it work, and I just don't have time for that. I have a 7-month-old, I have a 6-year-old, and we have this huge farm, and I just don't have time right now. So that may be something that I kind of stick to in the future, but for me, pine shavings just work the best. They're light, they smell nice, they're not going to, hurt the chickens. Back to eggs. So our eggs, we leave them on the counter. Make sure that you are storing your eggs pointy side down. I know when you see them in the store, they're pointy side up. There is an air sac on the bottom of those eggs on the fat end. Hi, Boomy. On the bottom of those eggs on the fat end, and that is what you want to make sure stays on top. If you put it on the bottom, it's going to try and rise to the top. That's what air does, and it's going to disturb the balance of that egg. It's going to push the yolk around, and it's going to disrupt, the natural balance of that egg. So make sure you're storing your eggs pointy side down. We leave ours on the counter, unwashed, ready to go, ready to eat for like a month or 2 months. They're good. Don't trust the float test. The float test is not going to tell you if an egg is rotten. It's just going to tell you how big the air sac is. Some chickens lay eggs with air sacs that are small. It just kind of is the luck of the draw. We make sure, that we date our cartons, or we date our eggs. Right now, I'm not keeping them in-house long enough to even have that be a concern. People are buying them left and right, and as fast as my hens can lay them, they're getting used up. I do plan on water glassing them this summer to make sure that I have eggs for over the winter. Ooh, of course, the sun's going to come out now. Hi, Boomy. So because we have a rooster, a lot of people say, well, you can't eat those eggs. You absolutely can eat those eggs. The embryo doesn't start developing unless there's heat applied, and the conditions have to be pretty perfect for them to start developing. You don't have to worry about it. If you are worried about it, if you would like to have a rooster, but you're worried about eating the eggs that your hens lay with having one, just candle them. Take a flashlight, stick it up to the bottom of the egg, and look and see if there's any baby in there. If you don't see anything veiny or dark, you're good to go. I've been seeing it go around that people are experiencing their hens not laying. That can be a few things. The age of your hen, the season, the temperature, changes in light, changes in feed, stress, all sorts of things can lead to your hen not laying. The main thing I will say, right now it's January, and my hens are really starting to ramp back up their production. The days are starting to get a little bit longer. Oh my gosh, I just said it was January. It's totally February, my bad. It's even my birthday month and I'm still getting it wrong. Mom brain. But it's February and the days are starting to get a little bit longer, but my chickens were molting and the days were short. So I didn't have a ton of eggs. But the trick to ensuring that you have eggs throughout the winter when your older chickens are maybe, kind of taking a rest, taking a break, which they deserve, or they're molting, is get new layers. Make sure that you have a big enough space that you can offset your laying. I like to have my regular group of hens, and then in say April or so, I'll either hatch some chicks or buy some chicks. And then those hens typically, if I get them in April, they start laying around 6 months or so for some, like your Americanas and Easter eggers. 6 months or so after April, you're talking October, they're going to just start laying. They're going to lay through that winter. So I like to try and get new layers almost every year if I can. Sometimes I will sell my older hens to, make up for that. I don't really have any that I feel like letting go this year, so I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do because, the girls that we have right now, I just really love them. I love their personalities. They all get along really well. They have a great pecking order established. They're beautiful. They lay really nice eggs. So we shall see. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just have to get a second coop. A lot of people will say, well, supplement light. A hen is born with as many eggs as she's ever going to lay. She's born with that number. Supplementing light and speeding up, her laying and ensuring that she lays is only going to quicken that process. It's going to make it so she doesn't lay nearly as long, and it may not even work. That's, if that's what you would like to do, that's totally you. They're your chickens. It's not something that we practice here simply because I like my girls having a break. I've put a system in place that compensates for that time off, and I'm just not totally worried about not having a couple of eggs. In 3 years that we've had our chickens, I've never had to buy eggs. Like I said, I plan on water glassing and having them for a year, stored in my pantry. So I'm just not super worried about that. Put practices in place, up their protein, give them some rest. They are well deserved. They work so hard for us. Whether it's giving us eggs or giving us meat or just cleaning up scraps or picking up the yard. They deserve that break. They deserve a little bit of time off. We keep our eggs on the counter, and we can do that because we don't wash our eggs. Eggs have a natural protective coating. It's called a bloom. And it is something that when the hen lays the egg, it's the last step, in that process. She covers the egg in a protective bloom. It seals those pores and keeps any bacteria from getting inside of the egg. So when you take that egg and then you wash it, you're removing that bloom and you're opening those pores and you're allowing bacteria to get inside. If you like to wash your eggs, if they're dirty or you just prefer to wash, you have to refrigerate them. You cannot keep them on the counter any longer. You also, if you refrigerate an egg and bring it back out, you can't leave that egg on the counter. You need to keep that egg in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. The condensation that is created when you remove it from the refrigerator, it allows those pores to open. So you want to make sure you either you pick a party. You either pick unwashed and on the counter or washed and in the fridge, but you can't kind of mix those two. Well, for now, I think that kind of sums up everything I wanted to say in this particular video. Again, I do plan on doing a series. I'm kind of thinking like an incubation series, a feed series, a little bit more in depth on our coop and kind of giving you like a coop tour and maintaining that, what that looks like for us. up to, you know, going over molting and feed, all of what I just went over, but just going a little bit more in depth. So if you want to see those videos, make sure that you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. And other than that, drop a comment. Let me know what kind of chickens you keep. Let me know if there's something I didn't go over that you would like me to go over, or, you know, something that maybe I said that was wrong or that you don't believe in, or, any of it. Just let me know. I love talking chickens. I love talking farm animals in general, but the chickens are really kind of what I know well. I've done a lot of research on them over the years. I've had them since I was a little kid. One of my first animals was actually a little Bantam Cochin named Little Miss Sunshine, and she used to ride around the yard on my shoulder when I was like 8 years old. And so I love them. They have great personalities. They're just, they give back in so many ways. So I really enjoyed them. If you're thinking about chickens, do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to either comment here or go and follow us on our farm page and shoot me a message over there. I would love, 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 love to hear from you. Other than that, happy chicken tendering.